Hi, hello besties, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Vlogmas Day 3. For today's video, I am going to be going through 10 things that I learned as a first-time mom. What screams mom more than drinking some form of caffeine in a mom cup while your baby takes a nap? So everyone, grab your caffeine beverage of choice and let's chat. Number 1. Mom guilt is more real than you'd ever imagine. People always talk about mom guilt and how it is so real and how everybody experiences it. And as a mom, you feel guilty for doing the most basic of basic things away from your baby. But for me, mom guilt literally started when I was pregnant with AJ. If you guys remember, when I was pregnant with AJ, and again, when I was pregnant with baby girl, I failed my 1-hour glucose test. But the biggest difference is when I was pregnant with AJ, I did not realize how normal it was to fail your 1-hour glucose test. So I was sitting here panicked, sobbed my eyes out because I felt like the worst mother on the face of the earth because I failed my 1-hour glucose test. And I was thinking about all of the ways that I could have prevented this from happening, all of the ways that I should have been better, how I should have eaten better to better prepare myself and my body for my baby. When in reality, that is just the way that my body is, because flash forward 2 years later, I failed it again with baby girl. There were just so many factors in failing it, but mom guilt literally started for me when I was pregnant with AJ. Flash forward into a few months into having AJ, you guys know that we really struggled with the first pediatrician that we went to, and that his weight was a huge concern, that he wasn't gaining weight super quickly. And the pediatrician basically made me feel, as a breastfeeding mother, that I was not doing what was best for my baby by continuing to breastfeed, because he was clearly not getting enough nutrition and enough food on a day-to-day basis that he needed to thrive as an infant. And that really hurt and upset me, and is something that really still to this day triggers me in terms of when people will say about how tiny or how small AJ is, because he definitely is on the smaller side of babies still now at almost 19 months, but I think he's just a genetically small baby. But that was a really hard wake-up call for me, when to realize how intense mom guilt could be, that someone could make me feel that I am not doing what is best for my baby, and that I was like almost being selfish in the decision that I was making. But mom guilt stems even to like when you want to go and hang out with your friends, or if you want to go to the gym for a little bit, or go get your nails done. Like, you feel this sense of like, oh my god, I should not be away from my child. I wonder what they're doing. I wonder if they miss me. I wonder if they're crying. I wonder if they're okay. Like, there's literally, you just kind of spiral nonstop. And I will say that that aspect has gotten a little bit better as he's gotten older, and I'm hoping that second time around it'll be even that much better. But definitely as a new mom, mom guilt is so real. You feel so bad doing literally anything for or by yourself in the beginning, because you just do not feel like you deserve it. So mom guilt is more real than I ever could have imagined, and it hit me literally while I was pregnant with AJ. The attachment to breastfeeding is so difficult to explain. I would like to start off this conversation by saying I literally have zero judgment about how you choose to feed your baby. Whatever is best for you and your baby is what is best for you and your baby. I went into my pregnancy and postpartum experience as a new mom wanting to breastfeed. It's something that was really important to me. It's something that I really wanted to try to do. But I also accepted the fact that if it wasn't meant to be, if I didn't take to it well mentally or physically, if AJ didn't take to it well mentally or physically, that I was not going to put a ton of pressure on myself or on him to do it. And I was going to just do what was best for him and for myself. Luckily, we had a really amazing experience with it. He latched right away. I was able to breastfeed him for just about 13 months, literally pretty much stopped, and then shortly after that got pregnant with baby girl, which is exactly the timeline that I personally wanted. But it was really difficult when we were going through the struggles we had with our pediatrician about his weight, about telling us to stop breastfeeding. I had a really hard time with that, because it was something that I was really attached to. It was something that I was really committed to doing, and I genuinely believed in my heart that I was not doing anything wrong. I genuinely believed that I was eating enough food. I genuinely believed that I was feeding him enough and feeding him when he was hungry. I felt like I needed to trust my mom intuition, which is so important as a new mom. You know what is best for you and your baby, and there is nothing wrong with formula feeding your baby. There is nothing wrong with combo feeding your baby. For me, I just did not want to do that unless I absolutely had to do it. But I never had an oversupply of breast milk. I was like a just enougher, where like I would be feeding him, and then when I would put him down for naps, or when he would go down for the night, I would have to pump to make sure that I was trying to make as much as milk as humanly possible, because breastfeeding is a supply and demand thing. So the more they eat or the more you pump, the more you typically make. I was never an overproducer, and luckily I feel really fortunate I was able to make it to 13 months, but I felt very attached to it, and I was surprised that despite how much I really wanted to do it going into motherhood, how attached to it I really was. It was just a big shock to me. There's nothing wrong with however anybody chooses to feed their baby, but I was surprised how much I did not want to give it up, and that I was quite literally willing to do whatever it took to get my milk supply up and to make sure that I was able to breastfeed him in some capacity. Number 3, every hard time will pass much quicker than it feels in the moment. I feel like this is so important as a new mom, because postpartum, early newborn phase can be really, really rough. In the beginning, you're trying to figure it all out. You're trying to figure out how to navigate your new body, your postpartum experience, your recovery, while at the same time trying to figure out how to help this baby, help this human being literally survive on this earth. So you're trying to figure out when they're crying, what do they need, how often do they need to feed, when they're waking up in the middle of the night, every 45 minutes, every hour, every 2 hours. It can feel like it is never going to end. It can feel like you are never going to sleep again. It can feel like you are never going to be able to eat a meal without holding a baby again. In the moment, it feels like you are in this bubble and you are never, ever, 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 ever going to get out of it. And I promise you, every difficult moment, as difficult as it is, will pass. I remember so many times, because AJ was such a contact napper, that there are so many times that I was eating meals or cooking meals while he was napping on me, and I would think to myself, like, am I ever going to be able to have 5 seconds to myself, 5 seconds of peace ever again in my entire life? And look at me right now, filming a video, talking to you guys while he is napping, something that if you would have asked me 1, 2, 3 months postpartum, even up to 7, 8 months, I never would have thought that that was possible, but it is. It happens slowly but surely. Every single difficult moment will pass. They become more and more independent. They will sleep again. You will sleep again. And even if you're not getting perfect nights of sleep for the rest of your life, because you won't. AJ is 19 months old and we still do sometimes wake up 2-3 times depending on the night. Your body learns so quickly how to adjust with such little sleep, and you learn that you're so much stronger than you give yourself credit for, and so much stronger than you think you are. But every difficult moment, whether it is they're eating, whether it is they're sleeping, whether they're crying and you can't figure out why, if your baby is colicky, as difficult as those moments are, and they are so difficult, and that does not take anything away from the difficulty of that moment, just remind yourself in the back of your head, every single moment will pass, the good ones and the bad ones, because change, especially their first 2-3 years of life, happens so freaking fast. And before you know it, you have a 19-month-old with your second one on the way, and you are thinking to yourself, oh my God, am I ever going to be able to eat a breakfast sandwich again without holding a baby? So just know that every emotion will pass. Number 4, a routine is so important, but a baby needs to fit your life as well. I think that this is so important. I am such a routine person. I like everything timed out, planned as best as possible. I think I thrive on a routine. I have definitely seen that AJ thrives on a routine. However, I also think that it is so important to not stop your life entirely when you have a baby. Listen, whatever works best for you, your family, and your baby is what works best for you, your family, and your baby. So if adjusting your lifestyle and your routine is what works best for you guys, then of course, by all means do it. But something that I learned is, yes, while a routine is so important, and I like to have a set nap schedule and a set sleep schedule and all of that, it also does not stop me from wanting to be able to like go to family parties, go out to dinner a little bit later than we normally would. Babies are so much more adaptable than we give them credit for. And will that mean that sometimes they'll fall asleep in the car? Sometimes they may not get a perfect night of sleep? Yes, but even when you do everything perfect, routine, by the book, they still may not do it, and they still may not sleep through the night. So I learned very quickly that while I love a routine is so important. I thrive on one, he thrives on one. If there's something going on that may alter that plan, alter that routine, there's ways to make it work. And while that day may feel a little bit more chaotic, a little bit more all over the place, just like that, you'll get back into your routine, you'll get back into your schedule, and you also get to enjoy the amazing event that you really wanted to go to. Number 5, I said so many things that I'll never do as a parent until I became a parent. I think it is so amazing that so many people, including myself, are the best parents in the entire world until they have children. It's crazy that the things that I said that I would never, ever, ever, ever do until I became a parent, and you realized that that is going to be what was best for your family or for yourself or for your child. And it is crazy how many things that changed. For example, I said that I was never going to let my baby eat a snack in the car. He eats a snack in the car all the time because he loves a snack. Sometimes we go far. Sometimes we're driving through a typical meal time to get to a place for a breakfast or a lunch or a dinner or whatever, and he eats a little something. He eats a snack in the car all the time. I said that I was never going to put him in front of the screen because I hate screen time. Well, I do try to minimize screen time as much as possible. It is now 31 degrees outside. I have a 19-month-old that runs around 24/7, and he wants to be active and he wants to be entertained by something, and we just simply do not have enough toys or enough things to do in this house to entertain him. I am also now 7 months pregnant, and sometimes I just simply do not have the energy to be go, 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 go to all day, every day. So sometimes, yes, I put him in front of the TV. Do I try to make it something that is informational and educational? Yes, absolutely. Our go-tos always are like Bluey, Elmo, Miss Rachel, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, but he definitely watches TV a lot more than I said I would. It is just so many things that I said I would never do, that I would never skip my baby's nap time, that I would never skip an event for my baby's nap time, and I have done all of those things. So it is just always amazing that you are the best parent in the entire world until you have children, but there are so many things I claimed I would never do until I actually became a parent, and then I did them. Number 6. Having a supportive partner is so important, but they'll never fully be able to understand what it feels like to be a mom. Now, this is not a knock on any dads or any spouses out there. I am so fortunate that I have the most supportive and amazing partner in the entire world. Genuinely, I do not know what my postpartum, what my new mom, what my motherhood experience would look like if I did not have such an amazing partner, spouse in Timmy. I really do not know. We are as equal as two equals can be in terms of parenting. He takes a lot, I take a lot. However, with all of that being said, with as amazing and incredible as he is, it is so difficult, especially in the very beginning, for your husband, for your partner, for your spouse to truly be able to understand what it means to be a mom. Especially for us, in my experience, I had 3 months off for my maternity leave where I was able to be at home with AJ by myself. Timmy did not have a ton, he did not have paternity leave, and he did not have a ton of PTO to be able to use, and he went back to work within the first week of AJ being alive. That is not his fault by any means, but it put such a strain on me that I didn't realize it was going to put, because he got to go back and he got to do his normal life right off the bat. He got to leave the house for 8, 9, 10 hours a day and exist with other human beings, other adults, have real life conversations, and not be stressing about, like, does this poop color look normal? Did they get enough milk at this feed? His life very quickly resumed back to normal when I felt like I was all consumed with motherhood and postpartum. And that's not a knock on anything that he did. That's not to say anything bad about him, but especially in our dynamic, AJ has always been a big mama's boy, so he definitely wants to be touching and clingy to me 24/7. He definitely has a hard time if I walk away to go to the bathroom, to go do this, to go do that, and that can put such an emotional and physical strain on me and my body. And I just think it's really important to point that out to all other moms out there, that if you feel this way towards your partner, towards your spouse, that it's not saying that they are not amazing, they are not supportive, and they are not there for you, but it is really, really hard for them to understand because they're not the ones going through it. They are not the ones that their body just went through this crazy and wild experience that they never could begin to imagine what labor and postpartum recovery looks like. But regardless of all of that, they also just, when, especially in terms of if your husband or if your partner has to go back to work right away, their life gets back to normal very, very quickly. And as the person who is home with the baby 24/7, yours simply does not, and probably will not ever, because your whole life is revolving around this one tiny little human being and making sure that they are okay and safe and alive. So I learned very quickly that I have to be very understanding of that to Timmy. I can't get mad and frustrated at him for not understanding an experience that how the heck would he ever be able to understand the experience that I'm going through? He's never been pregnant, he's never had to push a baby out of him, and he's never had to breastfeed. In the beginning, he never had to be alone with him for 8, 9 hours at a day because I was breastfeeding and I was home with him 24/7. So how could I expect him to understand? So, although it is so important to have a supportive partner, and I genuinely believe I have the best of the best supportive partners, it is impossible for them to fully understand what you are going through. So you need to remind yourself of that and be patient with them, because they are doing everything in their power to show up and be as supportive as humanly possible for you in the ways that they know how. Number 7, you will lose friends, but you also will gain so many amazing friends and people in the process. I was so surprised at how many people were so supportive and would check in on me nonstop when I was pregnant with AJ, would constantly be checking in. How are you feeling? How are you this? Have you given birth yet? Even freshly after I had him. How are you doing? How's the experience? Send pictures. And then 2, 3, 4, 10 months go by and you slowly stop hearing from those people nearly as much. Now, I also think it's really important to point out that I am 26 years old and I am pregnant with my second child. So I am very aware of the fact that a lot of my friends and a lot of people in my life are at very different stages of life than I am. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I would never want them to not live the life and not live the timeline that they want to live so they could be a better or more supportive friend for me, because they genuinely are doing the best that they can, but also living their life and living their timeline and the way that it is meant to be. But I have drifted away from so many of my really close high school and college friends, not because of any reason. There was no big fallout, nothing like that. They're out and about Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. I'm home with Timmy and AJ, or I'm out doing something with my little family, and there is nothing wrong with that at all. But I was surprised at how many friends I lost in the process because they're just not at the same point of life as you are, and that is totally okay, because at that same time I gained so many amazing people, so many amazing friends who are in the same phase of life as me, who have babies, who have kids, who have young ones, who get it, that if you're having a hard day, who if you just need somebody to lean on, they're there, they get it, they understand. And that's not to say that I lost all of my friends that don't have children. I definitely have an immediate amazing core group of people that have been by my side and who will be by my side through everything, no matter what phase of life we are all at. But I definitely was surprised at how many people I drifted away from as I became a mom, because we genuinely just couldn't understand each other's lives anymore. We couldn't really find time to meet up and do things because timelines that worked for them didn't really work with me for having kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. I still have so much love in my heart for them. They are still some of the most amazing people that I've ever had in my life. But in that same breath, I have gained such an amazing group of strong moms that I can lean on, that are such good friends to me, that I believe that as my life continues to grow and develop, they're going to be right alongside me. So I think it's really important to any new mom out there who might be watching that you will lose people that you never thought in your life that you would lose. But I promise you, if you have not yet, you are also going to gain an amazing, very strong, very close-knit group of women that can genuinely relate to every emotion and feeling that you're having. And that is so important, to have that village around you, because none of this is genuinely meant to be done alone. So I'm so grateful for the people that I have gotten so close with and stayed so close with through becoming a mom. Number 8. There are so many ways to parent. You will know what is best for you and your baby, and none of it is wrong. I think that this is such an important one because, especially now with social media and the world that we live in, we see vlogs, TikToks, Instagrams, YouTube videos 24/7 of people sharing various things in their day-to-day life about how they parent, what they do with their children. And there is no right or wrong way to parent your child if it is what you believe is best for you and for your child. And I think that is so important because I think it can be so easy to compare of how they're doing things, what their routine looks like, how many naps they're taking at this age, what time they're napping at this age. Oh, they're not letting them do this. Oh, they're letting them do this. They started food at this age. There's so many things to compare yourself and to look at. And I just think it's really important to take a step back and think to yourself, is what I'm doing best for me, my family, and my baby? Because if the answer is yes, then there is no right or wrong way to do it, and you will know whatever is best for you and your baby. So don't put so much pressure on yourself to compare yourself to either people that you see online or other people that you see in your life that are doing things differently than you, because it's amazing that that's what's working for them, but that does not necessarily mean that that's what has to work for you. Whatever schedule, routine, system that you have that works for you, just do that because that's what works for you. Number 9, you can feel 2 things at once: overwhelmed and also so in love, frustrated, but also so grateful. This is probably the number 1 thing that I have learned through being a mom. You can feel 2 emotions at once. Just because you are feeling overwhelmed, just because you are feeling frustrated, just because you're feeling agitated and annoyed by your child, does not mean that you are not grateful, that you are not happy, that you are not so absolutely madly in love with them. Two things can exist at one time. And I think, especially sharing my life on social media, I have received a lot of feedback when I do share the difficult moments, when people will say to me, it doesn't really seem like you enjoy being a mom. I feel like all you do is complain about being a mom. And that is really hurtful to me, because I love nothing more in this world than being a mom. I feel like I have found myself so much through motherhood. I feel like I know so much more about who I am, who I want to be, the things I believe in, the things I like through being a mom. However, motherhood is very difficult. Motherhood is very challenging. There are ups, there are downs, there are highs, there are lows. And I think it is so important to feel all of those things, to feel all of those emotions, because all of those things can exist at the same time as you being so madly in love with your baby. I think especially now as a toddler parent, it is such an important thing to remind myself that when AJ is having a temper tantrum and when he is freaking out over whatever thing he is freaking out about, that it is really important to remind myself that while I feel frustrated and while I feel agitated by whatever is going on in this moment, and maybe I feel a little annoyed and angry at him, I love him, and I love nothing more than being his mom, and he is not doing any of those things in a malicious way or to make me upset or to make me mad. But two things can exist at once. And you can feel overwhelmed and you can feel frustrated, but simultaneously you can be so happy and so grateful. And I think that is so important to remind yourself, because there are going to be so many times as a new mom, and I think just as a parent in general, that you are going to feel so many different emotions. The hormones and the emotions are literally insane, where you're going to be up at 3, 4 in the morning and you are going to be like, oh my God, I swear if you do not go to sleep, I'm going to freak out. And that emotion can exist. At the same time, you are so happy that you just have a healthy baby, that you have a baby in the first place, that you are a parent. Both things can exist at the same time. And I think it's really important to remind yourself, as all of the ups and downs and roller coasters of parenthood, that you can feel two things at the same time. And last but not least, number 10, it is impossible to be prepared. I think that especially as you are a new mom, a pregnant mom, you want to have everything as prepared as humanly possible. You want to have their nursery all prepped. You want to have all of their cute clothes all folded and put into the drawers. You want to have the binkies, the bottles, everything's all washed, everything as prepared as possible. You want to be able to read all of the books, all of that, and it is impossible to be prepared for parenthood and for being a mom. Even if you think that you are ready, there are going to be so many things that you are not ready for. And I say this for one of two reasons. One, do not stress yourself out about having everything absolutely perfect before your baby comes and when your baby comes, because it is impossible to be ready, because just as soon as you think you figured it all out, they're going to change on you. Just as soon as you think you figure their sleep schedule, you figure their eating habits, their routine, their schedule out, they'll change it. You think you have everything prepped as perfectly possible for their nursery, their binkies, they're this, they're that, then they hate binkies. They don't like the swaddles you got. So it is impossible to be fully prepared. So it is just important to remind yourself that things are going to change so quickly, and as soon as you have it figured out, that it is going to probably change, and that's okay. You just have to adapt and go with the flow. But I also say that for number 2, if you are somebody that is hoping or thinking about getting pregnant soon, but you're keep thinking to yourself, am I ready? Am I actually prepared to do this? I think you are going to know in your heart when you are ready to do it, but I do not think you are ever going to feel prepared. I do not think you are ever going to just be like, yep, today's the day that I can handle it. That's what I told myself when I was ready for baby number 2. I don't think that there ever would have been a time that I really could have looked in the mirror being like, today is the day that I am absolutely 110% ready to have a second baby. Because there are still so many thoughts in my mind in terms of, oh my gosh, now my baby is not my baby anymore. Oh my goodness, what if he feels like we've replaced him? What if I have all of these thoughts in my head still at 7 months pregnant, and as excited and ready as I am to be a family of 4 and to meet this baby girl, there are still so many thoughts and so many things in my head where I'm thinking like, am I actually ready to be a mom of 2? Can I actually handle 2 under 2? So I'm saying this to encourage you that if there's a part of you that wants to have a baby but is feeling like, I don't think I'm ready for a baby, I believe you will know in your heart when you are ready for your baby, and you're always going to find reasons to talk yourself out of it, but you are going to know in your gut when you are ready and when it is the right time, because I genuinely don't think you're ever going to be fully, emotionally, physically, financially prepared for all the things that a baby will throw at you. So you will just know when it is time, because I don't believe that there is ever a time where you're fully prepared and fully ready to have a baby, because it is impossible to be fully prepared even after they are here. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up the video here. There are so many more things that I could have added, and so many more things that I have learned and am still learning as a new mom. And then I can only imagine the things that I'm going to learn as a mom of 2. But I hope you guys like this video. If you did, please make sure you go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. You already know it supports my channel. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you never miss another video that I post. If you haven't already, make sure you follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok so you can see all the fitness, health, and lifestyle content I post on there. And I will catch you guys here next time.